Good morning and welcome to the Daily Huddle for another Money Monday. My name is Zack Otey and you guys have me by myself this morning. Kimberly had another obligation, but she will be, I'm sure, watching this from somewhere else. Guys, I'm excited today to talk to you about one of the biggest trends that's been growing over the last 5-10 years, and that is the side hustle. It's gone from being a something out in the wings to something where, a large majority, 25-30% of people you talk to have multiple streams of income. But before we get started on that, can anybody tell me what a wind turbine side hustle is? Yeah, I didn't think so. OnlyFans. It's bad. I know it's bad. Good morning. All right, Liz, thanks for the laughing emoji. It's hard when I don't have Sorrel there to throw his head back and laugh, even if he's doing it in out of pity. So, good morning, Andrea. How are you this morning? All right, guys. Well, before we get started, let's go through our normal questions to get our mindset in the right place. I'm going to go with Virtue. How are you this morning? I saw that you unmuted and said hello earlier. First question, what time is it and what are you grateful for today? See somebody else that's unmuted at the bottom down there. Somebody want to help? There we go.
Guys,
good morning.
this is Rashida from Jamaica. How are you guys doing? Good morning.
Fantastic. It's great to see your face.
Same here, same here. And how I am this morning, I am blessed and not stressed. Raining in Jamaica, but I am so happy that I can share space with you, our guy, this morning. Thank you so much, Zach.
Well, thank you for joining us from where you are. So, Andrea, where are you and who will you hug today?
Zach, I am where I need to be, which is right here. And I'm going to have myself today. Today's going to be about me, myself, and I.
Very, very nice. All right. Let's say, Molly, you just joined us. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I am how I say I am. And I'm fantastic.
That is absolutely fantastic. We have an opportunity to say, and how we answer those kind of questions definitely matters on how our brain processes our attitude and everything else. So, I have a friend that every time I asked him how he was, he said always he was living the dream, right? And that was his answer right out of the gate. So it's great to see your faces. And I want to have a little bit of a chat this morning, digitally in the chat if we can, because I'm going to talk about side hustles. I'm going to talk about making extra money. So, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of talk about this, and there are multiple avenues to do that. And, even Forbes Advisor came out with an article, and being in the financial services business for the last, however 20 years, I follow a lot of different financial publications, and they came out with an article a little while ago that was 29 ways to make extra money in 2023, which, coming from an advisor platform, I wonder why that is. Well, a lot of people are starting to realize that they can't meet their retirement goals. And we've talked about this a little bit in episodes past. They can't meet their retirement goals with the current amount of money they have in the bank or with the current amount of income that they have. So they've got to do one of two things. they either have to supplement retirement with some sort of a passive income stream, right? So they can draw less from their investments, or they need to make more money now so that they can compound it in those investments and put more away. So I talk about part-time side hustles, and you know, I think that everyone should have not just one, but multiple streams of income, whether it's rental property, whether the traditional like passive income stream, which you have to be able to acquire the property, you have to be able to pay to maintain it, and you also have to be able to pay the payment on it if you use financing to get that, not just have the property and all of a sudden you're making money. So different types of side hustles require different types of investment, different amount of monetary investment. So from that perspective, it's limiting for some. But I know some of the big things that people are doing now. Who's done something? And if you can, just say something in the chat so that we can kind of share this. Who has either got a side hustle going right now that's working for them, or they've tried something in the past? And what was that? I'm interested because years ago, and I'll talk about my story and Kimberly's story here in just a few minutes, but how we started as a side hustle and then became our full-time gig, and how it taught us that we needed to have multiple streams of income. But the funny thing, I was so intrigued years ago, I don't know how many years ago now, when Uber came out. And we had 4 kids. They were all at home involved with soccer, and we were paying all these soccer club dues and all this kind of stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm going to drive Uber, and I'm going to meet people just because I'm curious. And I'm going to use that money to pay the soccer fees. So that was kind of my goal. I wanted to make, however much the soccer fees were for this year's club soccer. And so I went and got my car inspected and got my background check done and all those kind of things. And this was probably 10 years ago now, early on in the Uber days, and started driving Uber. Would go out, and I didn't do it very long. We're in a college town, and I didn't want to ride around until 2 o'clock in the morning carrying college kids around in my car that had been drinking a little too much. So I figured out the routes to the airport and did some things like that. But for me, it was not a valuable time for dollars exchange. And that was during the time when Uber was getting into a lot of trouble with their drivers, because they were changing their payouts and the way they paid and all those kind of things. But I tried it, right? So anybody else tried something that you want to share in the chat over there, please do that, and we'll circle back around to talk about it. But when it comes to side hustles, the number one side hustle that is, according to Forbes anyway, is freelancing. And I didn't really realize that there were so many websites out there where you can market your skills, whether it be bookkeeping or whether it be website building. And there are several of them. So if you look up freelance websites, I'm not going to plug any particular one of them because I haven't had the chance to do any kind of research or to see what they are. But I was fascinated to see that. And I have a guy that does our web work that is working on a website for me for one of our businesses. And he's doing that and doing web design and graphic art design all through a freelance web page. I knew him from before that, but he was telling me that it's actually pretty lucrative, and you can set your rate at whatever that is to be incredibly competitive. So some people are looking for a price point, and then some people will get a reputation on those sites as being a top-notch web designer or a top-notch bookkeeper, if you will. I know QuickBooks has a live, full-time live bookkeeping that I could pay monthly for that subscription, and I wouldn't necessarily have my one bookkeeper. But it is a person. Kind of makes me nervous with all my company financials and all that kind of stuff to have some random person in a digital world having access. But it's obviously filling that work pool up with freelance people working as bookkeepers from home and those kind of things. So I can tell you that Kimberly and I, when we started we were both in college when we met. We had no idea what we wanted to do, and we ultimately ended up graduating as teachers. My mom and stepdad and my dad and my grandmother and a long line of people in my family were public educators. And so as a child, I spent a lot of time in my mom's classroom grading papers and doing all that kind of stuff, and I swore I was never going to be a teacher. But as I went through school and went through college and, trying to figure out which direction to go and those kind of things, it just felt like home. It felt like a profession that I really was comfortable in. I was comfortable in schools. I was comfortable with that for whatever reason. So I chose to do that. And I did not regret that decision at all. Went out, graduated with a middle school education degree, takes special people to teach middle schoolers. Not saying that I'm not special, but I did love it. I didn't do it for 20, 30 years and retire from it. That's the people that are really special, that stick it out. But Kimberly was a special ed teacher. I taught middle school, and we both got jobs teaching public school in Georgia. And we had 2 children, and when we had our second child, we did some math, and we realized, kind of like a lot of people are right now, that there's not enough money at the end of the month, right? There's too much month at the end of the money to use it the other way around. So we said, listen, we got to figure out a way to supplement, to make childcare. At that point, daycare was a lot cheaper than it is now. That was 22 years ago, 21 years ago, when we had that problem. We realized one of our teaching salaries was going completely to pay someone else to take care of our kids during the day while we went to work. I coached 3 sports, she coached 2. And with all of those things added together, we still needed some extra money at the end of the month. So while Kimberly was on maternity leave with McKenna, our second daughter, she was introduced to the financial services world. And at that point in time, as it still is today, there are a lot of platforms where you can be involved in financial services on a part-time basis without leaving your current job, without changing your responsibilities wherever they are, and you can get involved at any different level. Now, for us, I learned this lesson as a soccer coach for the high school there. I used to get so frustrated because I had probably 40 athletes between the JV and the varsity boys, and I was the assistant girls coach for the JV and the varsity girls. We had a lot of athletes for those 4 teams. And I went to sit down with the principal one day, and I said, Coach, he was also a former coach, he's a principal. And I said, I need to know, I got to have more money. I think my supplement was like $1,100 for the year, literally added to my paycheck for doing all these coaching. We had 14, 15 games, and we had all these teams. And through this process of talking about it, I said, listen, I know that the football team, they have 11 games if they make the playoffs, and they have 4 coaches, and the head coach's supplement is at that point $25,000 was added to his paycheck. And I said, I get $1,100. He coaches a fraction of the number of games that I do and a fraction of the number of kids that I do. We need to kind of level this playing field, right? So it was my initial conversation about equal pay for equal work. and he looked me square in the face and he said, Zach, I'm going to tell you bluntly. He said, money goes where money goes. And he said, they sell out season tickets and you guys have to beg your parents to show up for the games. And I said, you know what? That was an eye-opening moment for me. That was an eye-opening. I said, it's not just about the work that I put in. It's not about how much work I put in. It's about how much value I bring and what people are willing to pay for that value. So I learned that, and I realized that we're all trading time for dollars in some capacity. So what we have to figure out is a way to have that be more dollars for less time. So we went looking, and we found, or Kimberly found, the financial services business. And at that point in time, she got started in the training model where she was matched up with somebody else that was a licensed person in securities. And we were in the mortgage business, securities business, and the insurance business at that point in time. And she got matched up and trained and worked her way through. And part-time, she was able to make more than the 2 of our teaching salaries combined in that first year when she was doing that. And then the next year, she chose to go full-time in that industry. And I stayed a teacher for another year just to make sure that that income stream was a good one. And it was. And that 21 years later, we've both been full-time in that industry ever since I left teaching the year after that. I love what we do because I can teach people still. I just don't teach people's children. I teach them about money and those kind of things. So when we talk about side hustles, make sure that you look at how much can be made in that world that you're talking about. What does an average Uber driver make? If I need to make this much, how many hours do they put in? DoorDash, there's all these different things that are going on now. I think there's grocery shopping apps, obviously, too. I was behind somebody in the grocery store line yesterday. Lady had a massive cart full of stuff, and I was going to let her go in front of me because she just had we got to the line at the same time, and she said, "No, I'm shopping for 3 different houses. I need to be able to bag these all separately and go through all this process." Talked to her for just a couple of seconds about that, and I was just blown away by the fact that she was literally grocery shopping all day. And I was like, "How often do you come back to the store?" She said, "I'll go drop these off, and the app, I'll have more to come back and pick up. So I go to 3 different grocery stores right here and deliver to all these neighborhoods." And she was that was her job. That was what she was doing on a full-time basis. So I was shocked, surprised, impressed, all those kind of things. But when you look at that, need to look at what is actually being sold. I think that the number one thing when you look at opportunities, and like I said, there are a lot of them out there, is can you make a living simply selling the product or simply doing the activity, right? I love recruiting and building agencies and those kind of things. But there are a lot of recruiting and building opportunities out there that you'll be offered where, in order to make actual money, you've got to have 1,000 people in your organization that have all signed up for some sort of an auto ship or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for the right person. There are a lot of people that do good things and products that are strong, that are marketed that way. I'm not saying that at all. But for me personally, if I'm looking at time for dollars, I want to make sure that for each transaction or for each thing that I'm doing, whether it's a delivery or a sale or whatever it is, that I can make a good living on my own first, right? I want to make sure that's a big key. Secondly, I want to make sure that I don't have any unnecessary monthly expenditures. Where I'm signed up and whether I make a sale or not, or whether I do something or not, I'm going to have more product or more things coming in my direction. I want to make sure that I can manage that side hustle in a way that's profitable for me, while I'm trying to figure out how it works and how it goes. And then the third one is, what kind of training is available, and am I going to be figuring this out on my own? I know that a lot of the classes and things like that are out there for the bookkeeping. I was reading some of on this Forbes article, and I would recommend that you guys go look this up. It's funny. Number 2 is pet sitting and doggy daycare. Apparently that's a big deal right now. We pay a pet sitter. We travel a lot and we have 4 dogs. So I know what we pay her. So obviously if she's got other customers that do the same thing, it's not a bad gig. But anywhere from blogging, social media is a big piece. And all these things are things you can do on your own. But what I was getting to is there's a time to expect income, a window of what it takes to be prepared. Like anything else, the financial services business, there's licensing, there's minutes that you have to spend in a classroom or behind a computer, and then you have to take some tests and those kind of things. But I want to share my screen here for just a second and show you guys a graphic that just blew me away. And this is not so much anymore at this point in time, but this is definitely true. When this graphic came out, I think this is from Fortune in 2017. We heard constantly, day in and day out, we would talk to people that were trying to get a side hustle together, and they were going into the real estate business. When we were in Atlanta before we moved to Charleston, and that was 13 years ago now, I remember a statistic that said that there were 4 licensed realtors in Georgia for every 1 listing. So that meant that there were a lot of people that were not involved. They had the license, but they weren't involved in the business. And the real estate industry is a great one. And if any of you are watching this right now are realtors, you've probably had a great amount of success in the last several years. But right now, as with the mortgage business, it's slowing down. When mortgage rates go up and those kind of things change, it changes that. But when I saw this graphic, I knew that the money business, the financial services business, was a big deal. It had been good to us for many years, but when I saw this for the first time, I didn't realize what a big deal it was. The financial services industry, $109 trillion industry, as compared to retail. This is all retail added together. This is their big box stores. This is your mom and pop stores. This is retail, a $24 trillion industry. So if I'm going to go out into the world and I want to start up a business, do you think I would be better to start a business in retail, where I have to rent a space, or I have to create an online store and sell those kind of things? Or do you think that I should maybe consider real estate? I would think about that hard, right? Even a realtor, you have to get a license, you have to go through those kind of things, but there's really not a lot of overhead in that department as much as there is in others. So low overhead, getting a license, a professional designation, or possibly even in the financial services world. It's very funny to me when I look back at the fact that Kimberly and I both went to school for college, got undergraduate degrees in education, borrowed money to do that. Neither one of our parents were paying for our school, so we worked our way through school. And then at the end of the day, the livelihood that we've made 99% of our money in came with a life insurance license, which is now a 40-hour online course and a $100 test. And we could have done that right out of the gate. Now, I'm not taking anything away from higher education. I definitely think it's something that's good. I hope and plan for all of my children to go. I'm not going to spend exorbitant amounts of money for them to do that, but we've got plans for all those kind of things. But understanding that trades and licenses and those kind of things can be incredibly, incredibly powerful. I'll stop this share here. So from a side hustle perspective, guys, I'll talk a little bit about the life insurance business and the financial advising world that we have been in, because that's what I have experience in. We have any number of people that work through our organization that work either full-time, part-time, spare time, or referral based. All of those, in order to get paid, require you to actually have the license to get paid on that business. But we have several licensed folks that are just influencers in their community or in their world, and they get a license so they can send us business. We can take care of their clients, make sure they get the right piece, they become our clients, and we share revenue with them. So that's one way to make side money in the financial services world, is get a license and establish a referral partnership with somebody. If that's something that anyone's interested in that's watching this, you can reach out to us. I'm Zack, Z-A-C-K, at Join HGI. That's the company. You can see the things on the wall. That's the company that we market our financial services products through. So Zack at joinhgi.com or Kimberly at joinhgi.com for details about how this could work for you. But then secondly, if somebody has done the math on their hours in the day, right? So if we like to talk about the 24-hour clock, and if we take out 8 hours for sleep, and we take 8 hours for our current job or our current employment on a daily basis, that leaves us with a full 8 hours of time that we can do something else, right? So we want to put our family in there, our kids, whatever those things are that are important, and distill it down to how much spare time we actually have. If you want to get out of the referral space and learn how to be an advisor and to sit down with clients and put those plans together, we have a field training program that will match you up with somebody that trains you from start to finish. We make sure that the client's best interest is covered. It's always the most important thing. We don't want people practicing out there on people's financial health. We want people to learn with an expert in the room and then thereby become the expert. So we have a model to teach people that have never been in that industry how to become successful. And we show them exactly how much money can be made and how that works. And then we put together a business plan and help them do that. And then thirdly, you can go to a full-time strategy within this business and transition from where you are to being full-time in the insurance and financial services world, which is what I did. Ultimately, it's what Kimberly did. And we constantly have that work directly with us. We each have 2 to 3 people directly in training with us that want to be full-time in the industry. And that's basically how we work our business now, is we train others and teach other people how to build agencies and how to build a successful book of business and grow your network. And then after that, we teach them how to teach others. So we have a system where You can make a great living if you just want to sell products, if you just want to help individuals and help families. But we also take it a step farther. And when you're qualified through our process, we teach you how to grow a business that's passive. We teach you how to not only go out and close sales, but we teach you how to go out and teach others how to do that, where ultimately you can have an agency here. We have a agents and network in all over South Carolina and Atlanta. We have people in St. Louis, Missouri. And now with Zoom, as you guys are all a testament to right now, I can sit down with a client in their living room and they can be in upstate New York. And I can be in my living room or in my home office here in Charleston, South Carolina, and we can have a very intimate client advisor relationship like we're sitting in the same room. And funny enough, one of the biggest demographics that has really adopted this communication over Zoom has been the senior market. With COVID, it was much more serious for the elderly population, as we realized through the data and through those kind of things, and they were much more at risk, but they were also at risk of being very lonely. So they adopted this with their families, and it's the birthplace of the daily huddle, right, was coming out of the need to get together and to have exposure to other people. The unintended consequence of that was, while a lot of industries were shrinking that required in-person communication, walk-up business like the restaurant world, the small retail world, our industry, the financial services industry, was growing because we had more opportunities and more exposure, and we took out a lot of the drive time, less time coming into the office to sit down and meet with advisors, or to have clients take time off work to do those kind of things. So the industry has grown. But the need for advisors has not been filled. The average advisor in the insurance space is in their mid to late 50s. And the need for that knowledge, I see we have an AI assistant helping somebody take notes in our, I'm curious about what their AI world is saying that I'm saying and what they're taking notes on. But I see that in there. But there are a lot of things that need attention, that need a personal spin, that need knowledge and education. And I believe a good plan is one of those things. There are a lot of AI advisors and things like that that are out there, but I don't believe the need for a personal touch on advising and planning is going to go anywhere anytime soon. So it is time for us to open up the floor for some Q&A, for some, anything like that. So if we can unpin me and go back to gallery view, that'd be great. And let's have, I think I can do, I did it myself. There you go. How fancy, my Zoom. Who's got a question or a comment or has something that they want me to elaborate on? I just wanted to share that because I've heard so many people talking about getting side hustles and how to make extra money. And we have a great opportunity to do that. It's by no means the only one, or it might not be a best fit for everyone, but it's the one I have the most experience with. So any questions or comments about that? Anybody want to share something from their own experiences? Anybody else have a something that they're doing right now that's been successful for them? All right, guys. Well, I could go on and on talking about the world of finance. And, one of the things that I will encourage everyone to do is to be a business thinker. Think about opportunities as you see them. Think about what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and look around through some of these freelance sites and see, hey, maybe somebody would like what I do. Maybe I knit. I don't, but my daughter does. My 23-year-old daughter has become a knitting junkie. She shows me sweaters that she's made. If she could sell those on Etsy, she said, well, they would be about $1,000 sweaters because it takes me so long to do it. My time for dollars wouldn't be profitable. But think about what you love. And one of my favorite quotes years ago that I heard was, if you do something you love every day, you never work a day in your life. You're just having a good time. So I'm excited to be here every Monday. And I hope that whether you're watching us live or whether you watch us recorded, that you got something out of this and that it makes you think. Be a business thinker. Don't think like an employee. Think like a business owner. Think like someone that creates. And what do you love to do? And how can you monetize that? So happy hunting. but by all means, go out and establish multiple streams of income. We are headed into uncertain times, and you don't want to be stuck on a situation where somebody can make a decision for the bottom line that totally impacts your life without you being in control of it. So as we go out today into the world with our mindset, let's wrap up. Thank you guys for joining me this morning to get started. But remember to love, laugh out loud, stress less, eat mostly plant-based, take care of your body, give whatever you can, give, sleep. Did you get enough last night? I don't know, maybe not. Remember to sleep. It's very important. Move, get up from here and go walk around, go move. And then lastly, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make sure you give yourself a pause, never react too quickly to anyone or anything. How we react is one of the biggest things we have control over ourselves. So thank you guys very much for joining me this morning. Hope it was good for you. I am appreciative of this time getting my mind going in the right direction. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place on the Daily Huddle. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Great.